Okay, today is May the 3rd, 2016. We're watching the Northeast Pacific Water Vapor Loop, and right now, at about 10 after 9 p.m., in the foothills, we have a temperature of 66 degrees. The relative humidity is 64%. The dew point is 53 degrees, and the barometer is reading 1,014 millibar, or 29.94 inches. And what we're seeing now in the water vapor loop right here is a gale force system. This is about 1,013 millibars, I remember it. This is moving into California. Problem is we have a transmitter right on top of that vortex, and this is not only raising the core pressure of this weather system, but it's also cutting off the jet stream moisture flow, which is feeding that vortex. So if we look at this in the the infrared loop, we can see that there's a big void here where that moisture should be feeding that system. So we have a dying system that is being attacked by a transmitter, and then also we have a lot of chemtrail spraying going on in Southern California. We saw that today on the video. I had to document that. There was a giant ring, a rainbow-colored ring around the sun, and I've never seen a ring around the sun in broad daylight. And so I wanted to document that. The ring is caused by the nanoparticulate uh, matter that's in the chemtrail spray. That stuff is very, very fine. Nanoparticulate is down on the billionths of an inch. It's 10 to the minus ninth inches. All right, so these are very, very small particulates, and many times we'll see chemtrails in the sky, a streak, and if it's positioned just right near the sun, we'll see a rainbow pattern. And that is acting sort of like a diffraction grating. It breaks the sunlight, the white light, down into its components. It's various wavelengths of light, which vary from infrared to ultraviolet. And so that's why we see the rainbow sometimes in the sky with when they're spraying these aerosols. All right, so the skies were just completely blanketed with that stuff today, and as a result, the chance of rain is really dropped significantly. So we had a very good chance of rain, and what we're seeing now is a situation where we probably won't get any rain at all because of the very intense aerosol spraying. We can see the dissipation of all this weather as it just moves on shore. This is a lot of moisture, and yet we didn't see any rain at all. In fact, the relative humidity was around 23% at 2 p.m. We had about 84 degrees and 23% humidity. And so the aerosols did the job once again. Somebody made the decision to not allow rain in Southern California when it's sitting right offshore moving in. So everyone needs to pay attention to what's going on. The specific timing of these jets spraying this stuff is coincides exactly with what we're seeing offshore. We have a opportunity for rain moving in. Let's look at this in the water vapor map. The problem is twofold. We have a transmitter killing off the moisture field, feeding that vortex, and number two, we have the chemtrails that are spraying all through here, and that is the 1-2 punch. And somebody's making these decisions. The EPA has no say in the matter. The AQMD in California is impotent. They have no apparent say-so in the matter. Nothing seems to be done about this. There's no questions being asked in the media. The puppets doing the weather reporting are collecting a lot of money and enjoying their lives and their celebritydom. Uh, and so here we are. All right, so here's the jet stream. We can see that hook in the jet stream moving right towards California. There's a disruption here where all the chemtrails are being sprayed. And we have half a map today, so we can't see the rest of it. All right, let's look at the the western U.S. water vapor map, water vapor loop. Here we see the this gale force system. Now this, if it was allowed to spin up naturally, we'd have a lot of rain and we'd solve a lot of our drought problems here in Southern California. And what we're seeing here is an abnormal, a lot of abnormal features right here on the core. We have a big slot here. This should look like a spiral, like the top of a seashell, and instead we're seeing an outline of where the RF is beating down on this system. It's creating a big dry area here, and then we have this big void over here. This is all part of that RF energy that's being focused right on top of this area. Also, we can see the chemtrails right here, as right through the last several frames of this loop. We can see all the chemtrails, and that is a big problem. So they've got this down to a science. They are controlling our weather, and the result of that is that we have droughts, and this drought is now 4 years old, 5 years old, and that we know why. This is not any kind of a naturally occurring drought. This is a man-made drought. It's deliberate, and it's probably having to do with weather warfare with other countries. But at the same time, the U.S. government has made a decision to profit off of this because of the manipulation of fresh water prices, the incompetence of our politicians to even learn about this. They have not been apparently not been told about all this because otherwise they'd be building saltwater conversion plants. But all that makes too much sense. There may be other reasons. I can get this camera to stay focused. That would be real nice. Stay in focus. There you go. So we have a problem, a problem of knowledge. That is the political leaders that are leading us, that are making policy. They know nothing about this, and so people have to start waking up. And again, this is not because of the carbon. This is not because of coal-fired plants. This is not a CO2 issue. This is about people sitting in chairs, running computers, pointing satellites at weather systems, creating high pressure on demand. I hope you're listening, Leonardo DiCaprio and Jimmy Kimmel and a few others out there, because this is man-made. This is not, carbon. People blowing carbon out of their smokestacks and causing all this. Has nothing to do with that. Has nothing to do with any of that. This is people sitting in air-conditioned offices steering the weather. Okay, it's as simple as that. All right, let's look at some of these other maps. Here is the surface analysis map, and we have we have this high centered out here. This is 1,035 millibar. This is still positioned well off the west coast. We have this Gale identified right here, 1,015 millibar. This is moving to the east. Should move right into California, but we've got all these chemtrails, and that's going to kill off any chance for rain in our area. So there's a no rain forecast, I believe, for tomorrow. They were saying tomorrow night, but I just don't see that happening. All right, and we have a series of lows, not only here, but there's several others all the way up and down the coast, the west coast, and cold front. We have a couple of troughs identified here right over California and the northwest. All right, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens tomorrow. If there's a lot of chemtrail spraying tomorrow, I can just guarantee you 100% we won't have any rain in the Southern California region. Here's the southwest infrared loop, or rather the water vapor loop. Here, this is the situation. We have the tail of that moisture field is sweeping through, but this is all laced with aerosols, and we can actually see some of that here in the last couple of frames. Spraying all that with chemtrail aerosols. Okay, here's the sea level pressure analysis, and again we see area of low pressure all through here, and we have a high position over Colorado, it looks like right here. Looks like 1,021 millibar. Yep, 1,013 over here. This is where that Gale is moving in. All right, let's take a look next at the 500 millibar. We can see that trough moving in, but we have some ridges here. All right, let's take a look next to the 300 millibar. Same thing. We have this trough moving in. But the chemtrails are going to kill it off for Southern California, I think, is what's going to happen. Now, here's the MODIS today map. We have a partial map. They blocked off a whole lot of evidence here, but we have enough here to just show what was going on. We're looking at Lompoc and where Vandenberg Air Force Base is. This is north of Los Angeles, and we can see the tremendous aerosol campaign here in this view. We can see these spraying, these lines being sprayed every which way. All right, let's scroll down a little bit. We can see some natural clouds, but they've been pretty much blanketed by the chemtrail aerosols. So here we are. Offshore, it was a real mess. You can't even really see the natural clouds because there is such a thick layer of this crap. It's just really thick. You can't even see the real clouds. And the further north we go, the worse it gets. And as we move inland, we can actually see some real clouds right here. That cotton white, that brilliant white, is a dead giveaway. These are natural clouds. All right. Now, here's Los Angeles. This must have been taken early in the morning because you don't see much spraying. I remember this morning when I got up and looked out, the first thing I do is go outside and look to the west, and I saw all this. You can see a couple of trails right there, all this haze. They were up all night spraying, and this stuff eventually just moved on shore. By around 11 or 12 o'clock, it was the whole area was blanketed. Okay, let's look at this is the tropical Pacific, the wide shot, and we can see that Hawaii is, there's nothing getting near to Hawaii. Got high pressure here, clockwise rotation. We can see a lot of chemtrails all through this area. I didn't bother to pull up the SSEC map because anyway, there's just plenty of chemtrails out there. So that's the report for tonight, and we will do another update tomorrow.